If you're brand new to graphic design and you just want to get started and learn how to do it, or even if you're coming from a different software and you want to learn how Affinity works, then this video is going to be your full beginner's guide. So let's get started. So, what is Affinity? Affinity is basically all graphic design creative apps in one, and the best part, it's free. Well, mostly. I'll get into that later in the video. I'll have the download link in the description down below if you'd like to download and try it out for yourself. So when you first open it up, you'll get an intro page like this where you have this box with all your recent files. Then if you click on the Recents tab, you'll have all the files that you've opened up recently. As you can see, I have a poster here that I have just been working on. Now you have your Learn tab as well. So if you want to download a few of these and play with around with them, feel free to. And you also have your templates, which I don't have any templates. And you have your favorites, which if you want to make any of your documents your favorites, you can do that as well. So now I'll go ahead and open up one of these templates. Now that it's open, there will be a tutorial window here, kind of going over the different features. So there's a few different ones that Affinity has, but let me go ahead and close that out. And you're probably thinking this looks pretty familiar, but let me show you kind of around the Affinity workspace. So if I were to go to File, New, I can create a new document or Control or Command N. And you can either search for a size or scroll through any of these presets they got going on. So I like this master canvas, and you can also switch the orientation. So if you want it portrait or landscape, you can switch between those. I'm going to keep mine portrait. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And personally, I like mine with a transparent background. It doesn't really matter once you get started creating, but that's what I like to do. And you can add multiple pages, margins, and other stuff there. But let me go ahead and press Create Document. Now at the top, we have a tab system where we can switch between our different documents. Now, if you look up here, we have different tabs, and when I click on them, this one gives me a different toolbar. Same thing with this one. This one gives me some different toolbars. This one will give me a different pop-up menu, and this is where the magic happens, and this is where Affinity becomes all apps in one. This is what are called studios, and right now I have Pixel, Vector, Canva AI, Color Grading, and Layout. And when I click these three dots to the right, you can see all the different options that are there, and I can turn them on and off as I like. And what the studios do is they basically change your shortcuts and toolbars to make it easier to work in that specific area of your project. And the best part is you can switch between any of them while you're working on your project. So if I come over here, and let's just say I want to go into vector and I would like to make a shape, and I just want to add in a shape here. Something like that, like a little blob. And then let's just say I don't like the way this photo is looking. I can click on the photo, go to color grading, and I can mess around with the photo as well. Something like this. And just go ahead and mess around with that photo. And this is what also makes Affinity so good. If I go back up here to the three dots, I can create my own studio. So if I click this Create Studio button, I can name it something like Zing's Studio. And I can either add in my own photo by clicking this, or I can choose one of these icons down here. So we do something like that. And I can change the colors so they have some colors here, or I can adjust it on my own. And what I can also do is I can clone it from a different existing studio, or I can make mine from scratch. So let me just go ahead and make mine from Pixel, or clone it from Pixel. And then I will press Create. And now you can set up this workspace completely for yourself. So to your own creative needs. So once you kind of learn all the different things in Affinity, you can add them to your own studio so that you can use them quicker. You don't have to switch to studios as much. So if I want to customize this for myself, right now it's the exact same as Pixel. So I can right click at the top and press customize toolbar, and it will bring up this menu that has all the tools you can think of for the top bar. And let's just say I don't want to see my document details or the camera data and stuff like that. I don't need all that. And let me say I want to scroll down and I want to use I use flip vertical and flip horizontal pretty frequently. Maybe I can even add in let's just say select subject as well. Let's say use that. I'll add this to the bar and I can move it around, and I can also move the spacing around. So if I want some spacing here, I can add in a separator as well so these don't go together. I'll put that there and just kind of just move all these different things around that I want. So something like that looks good. I'll go ahead and close that. And what's cool is you can even customize the sidebar. So if you go to these three dots above the color picker, it will bring up the same panel, and you can customize all the tools from the sidebar as well. So we can get rid of some of these. Let's say I don't need any of these, and we'll drag them in there. And let's just say I want to use the corner tool and the pencil tool. I want those, and maybe even the place tool because I'm using those a lot. I can drag those right in, and I can use the separators. So like I want to separate them from all my other stuff, and you can also drag them anywhere you like and arrange them anywhere you like. So just keep in mind that you can customize Affinity to however you're liking and however you want to make your workflow the best as possible, and you don't have to switch through any different apps to do that. So let me go ahead and switch back over to our blank document over here. I'm gonna go ahead and shut off Zing Studio just because I'm not gonna be using it anymore. And I'm gonna go over and switch over to the Vector Studio. So let's say you'd like to make a shape. We'll go ahead and select the shape tool, and you can just click and drag to make some different shapes. Now let's get rid of those. And if you want to make a perfectly symmetrical square, you can hold down shift and that will lock down the ratio to make a perfect square. So what I'm going to do is drag out something like this, and what I want to do is make it a different color. So I'll just click on it and just drag this nice red, nice dark red. And if you want to align it, you want to center it, just go up here to the horizontal align button and center align a button, and that will center your object. If you don't have this option, I believe you won't have it. I didn't have it when I first downloaded Affinity. You'll right click, customize your toolbar, and it should be the align option. So now I have it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it off to the side, and I want to make a duplicate. So to make a duplicate, you can hold down Alt and drag to make a duplicate, Alt or Option, or you can hold down Control or Command and drag to make a duplicate. And there is a third secret way that you can create, well, not secret way, but a third way you can create a duplicate. You can press Enter and it'll pull up the Move/Duplicate panel, and you can start messing around with these settings. So you can change it to 500 pixels for horizontal, and it will show you how far away your object is moving from like the previous spot. So that hasn't moved very much, so let me bump it up to some like maybe 700 was enough, maybe 1,000 to get some spacing. And you can choose the rotation if you want to rotate it, so maybe like 45 degrees. And you can press this duplicate button and it will make a duplicate of that square. You can also choose how many duplicates you want, and it will duplicate it by that amount. And you can also choose the scale. So if you want to scale it down, you can scale it down as well. It'll make duplicates of that. So I'm going to get rid of these squares, and I'm going to grab my pen tool. So you can grab your pen tool by pressing, get rid of all those squares. You can grab your pen tool by pressing P or clicking on it. And I can make maybe something like this, a little zigzag. And I can do the same thing with it selected. You can use the duplicate settings. So let me do like 1,000 again. That looks, it's pretty good. And then you can scale it down as well, just like the other one, maybe like 50%. And when you press duplicates, you can make a number of duplicates. And when you make the duplicates, it will scale it at the same rate when you have the duplicate selected. So it will get smaller, or if you leave it the same at 100, they'll all stay the same for that amount of duplicates, which is pretty neat. So press OK, and I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to make a shape again. And you're probably at this point wondering, what's the difference between a vector and the Pixel Studio? They look pretty much the same, but what the Vector Studio does, when you create shapes, it uses mathematics to create those shapes. So when you zoom in, you don't really get any of that pixeling. They're nice, crisp lines. You can scale it up as much as you want, scale it down as much as you want, and you're going to get that nice, crisp quality. But when you switch to Pixel, let me drag in a photo. And I use this photo for my recent project. Move these around. I have my photo here, and when you zoom into it, you can see the individual pixels from the colors because the photo uses pixels to make it up, and that's what the Pixel Studio does, is it makes up whatever you put it into the studio out of pixels. So that's kind of the big difference between there. And also, like, if that's why when you get low quality photos and try to scale them up, they get all pixelated. It's because of those individual pixels. This is a pretty high quality photo, so if I were to scale it up, it wouldn't really get super pixelated. And so now let's just say I haven't made too many projects so far in Affinity, but let's just say you want to create another artboard. I have my artboard tool added to my pixel, but it should be in your vector area, I believe. And let's just say, because you want to make two different styles of a poster or something like that, you'll grab your artboard tool and you can click on either side to create more artboards, or you can click and drag in the empty space to create a new artboard as well. So that is how the artboard tool works, as well as if you have your artboard selected, you can change the background color of it as well with the color picker over here. So that's pretty cool. And if your color picker isn't like this and you want it to, you can press this down, little arrow on the right, and you can switch what type of color picker you have. I believe the wheel is the default. At least for me it was, and I switched it to the boxes because I like that better. And I'll go ahead and delete these artboards because I'm not going to need them. And so now kind of want to go over the AI tools, which with the way AI is taking over, I'm sure you're pretty intrigued by them. So the AI tools will be found in the Canva AI tab. So let's just say I want to get rid of the background, which would be a tool that I would use a lot. I loved using the select subject tool in Photoshop. And so when I click on it, this is where Affinity is no longer free. So the AI tools are not free in Affinity. Everything else is 100% free. So if you want to upgrade it, it is about 15 bucks a month or $120 yearly. So you get a little bit of a discount if you pay for the yearly Canva Pro. But I just wanted to point that out. So it looks like I'm gonna have to go back to using the pen tool to cut out these backgrounds. Also, along with the AI tools, there are some local AI tools which are not a part of, the download with Affinity. So if you press Control comma, it will bring up your settings tab. And you can go to machine learning and you can download this segmentation is the one free AI machine learning tool which is on your device compared to downloaded with Affinity. And the other three options are uh, Canva Pro subscriptions. So just to keep that in mind, I do have this one downloaded. And the next thing, which is pretty cool, which let me go ahead and switch back to my Pixel Studio and get rid of this box because I no longer need it. The next cool thing is if we go over to the right, you get very similar to other apps, your layers, and down here you have your layer effects, which is like your bevel embosses, your outlines, your glows, stuff like that, which looks very similar to any other app out there. And then you have your layer mask, your filters, your adjustments, and some stuff down here. But what I want to do is I want to go to my filters. And as you can see, there's a ton of filter options that you can use. And to show off these live effects that work in real time, let me go ahead and use the glitch filter. So I'll click on it and I'll use this drop down method. I'll switch it to shred. Looks pretty cool. And what you can do is you can mess around with the strength of the horizontal and vertical, and it works in real time. Like, look how fast this is working. You can mess around with it in real time to adjust it however you want, and it works really quickly. And if you click on the photo, you can adjust it to get something you like as well. And so what is also cool about Affinity, if I close this out to keep the effect, are the non harmful layer effects and editing in here. Everything gets put onto its own layer. So if I want to get rid of this glitch effect, I can just go in, or if I want to change it, I can just go into here and change it. Or if I want to get rid of it, I can click on it and delete it. And that goes for all the effects. Everything just goes directly into a separate layer onto your photo or wherever you want it to. So it makes it super, super easy to remove or basically edit non-destructively. And also what I can do with this layer is I can add a layer mask to it as well and drag its own layer mask onto the effect. So if I grab a black brush, let's bump it up and grab my brush tool by pressing B and make the color black, then just bump down the softness of it. And if I don't want this effect like on his face, I can also remove the effect quickly and easily from certain parts I don't want it as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can edit non-destructively in Affinity, which is really, really neat. It's really, really super simple and easy to edit quickly and non-destructively. Now another cool feature here in Affinity are the layouts. So if I switch over to this other document I have and I go to my layout studio, it will pull up this sidebar and it has pages and master pages. So like if I'm working on a branding project or something like that and I want to keep it consistent, I can add in a master page. Here, right click and add master, keep everything the same, press OK. And then, so if I want like a light document and like a dark document, I can make another and have master A and B. And then what you want to do is to create like a dark version So you have your dark and light for the branding or whatever. You want to create a new layer so that it's Control Shift N, and then you can just fill it in with a nice dark color. So actually, if I want to grab this color, because this brown color is pretty nice, I can grab that brown color and just say, hey, I want this to be my dark color for that document. And if I click on Master a nice complementary color could be like a cream color, so like a or off-white, so something like that. Oops. And we'll do something like that, and that could be like my two branding colors. And then if I want to add some more pages in, I can right click, add pages. You can up the number of pages pretty easily. So like if I want, 10 pages, I can add in 9 more. You can add in a master page or something like that. Press OK. And then you got your pages for your branding, layouts, guidelines, stuff like that. And if I want like this one to be dark, you can just drag your master page onto it, or you can right click and apply master and choose A or B as well. So that's how the layouts work. They're really nice for like branding setups and uh, presentations and stuff like that, as well as our grid system. So you can set up grid systems pretty easily. So let me come over here to this document. If you go to view and guides, you can now add in a grid system, and this will just help keep your work pretty even and consistent all around. I like to use grids when I'm using text to position text and make sure my subject and stuff isn't too far off to the left or the right. Keep everything uh, aligned very nicely. So if I change my style to fill, you can see when I bump up the columns, I can add in more columns, do something like 5, and you can increase the rows as well. So you can make all kinds of different grids, and you can also switch your color. I have this blue color. I kind of like it. I'm kind of used to the cyan color. And you can also switch your gutter size if you want to make these boxes smaller or bigger. I'll just go ahead and leave it at 100, and you can switch the size of your margins so you can bring it in from the side of your page as well, and it helps give a nice even spacing and stuff like that. Personally, I like to do outline on my grids, and I like to do something like 8 and 4, something like that. I'll do like 60 pixel margins, maybe something a little bit less, like 6 rows. Typically I'll do something like that. And if you want like your margins even, you can leave this chain selected, but if you want to switch them so they're not even and you want to switch one individually, you can click that chain to switch and adjust your margins differently. But I'll leave my margins like that. This is typically about what I'll use. I just found a guide uh, one day on Twitter that I liked, and I kind of ran with it. I kind of mess with. I think it's a little bit different than this, but it's typically around this. So you can make your grids or guides however you would like for your spacing needs. And which leads to, speaking of typography, how to use your typography in Affinity, because it is a little bit different. You can press T to bring up your text tool, or you can click the text tool off to the side here, and you'll see there's a little A, because that will be your artistic text tool, which if you click and drag, you can drag how big you want your text to be, and then it'll have you type in. So I can type in like testing, and it will come up that big. You also, if you have your type tool out, you can press T again. not selected on the text. And it'll bring up your grid type tool, so you can type in a grid, keep your stuff all nice and neat. So you can type in a grid as big as you need, and you can have different columns and stuff like that, as well as if you click T again, you'll bring up your text box tool, so you can make different types of text boxes and stuff like that. So I can make a text box to type in, and then if you right click, you can insert filler text, so you can see how big it is, and you can drag it all around, and you can kind of gauge how you want your text to be. So you can align something like this, make kind of like a little like quick design, something like that. And then with my graph tool, have a graph there, typed in like testing. I can spell testing, something like that. I can have, and then I can have my photo down here. And what you can also use with these grids, so let me go ahead and customize my guides. Let me switch it up. Let me like do a couple less rows, couple less columns. Maybe it's something like 3 and 3, something nice and even. And let me bring these margins up, some like that. Let me go ahead and delete this text because I won't need it. And I'll go ahead and delete the image as well. I don't really need any of that. Also, now that we have our grids up, if we switch back to the layout, we can pull up this art frame tool, which is pretty cool. And if we click and drag, we can add in a picture frame. And so if I grab a photo and I drag it in, I can drag it into that picture frame, and I can really easily set up and frame different photos within our grid, so they're like all evenly spaced or spaced out all very nicely. So I can add in some picture frames here, add in a couple here, maybe one here as well, something like that. And I can drag in some like different photos. And when you place the photo in, you can drag it within the picture frame, so you can get all nice and lined up as well, which is pretty neat. So drag in a few of these different photos. As you can see, like when I move it around, you can see the whole photo. So it's almost like it's clipping masked to that frame, which is really, really neat. So I have a couple different photos. So that is a pretty neat tool that you can use, so you can frame out all your pictures and have them nice and neatly set up. And with that, that's all I have for this video. So if you enjoyed this beginner's guide to Affinity, please like and subscribe. And if you have anything you're struggling with or want to learn in Affinity, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the video, and Zing out. Peace.